Okay, my friends, this is just hysterical. I'm sorry. Now, you see my face is all torn up. I mean, it was a tragic accident. I got attacked by one of those really heavy-duty briar bushes, and it got caught in my mouth and my lips, and oh. If I had video of that, I have 10 million hits, I'm telling you, it was absolutely horrifying. But that's why I have all these little cuts in my lips and everything, all torn up. Now, I've been getting questions about these for a while now. So what's going on with the planet? I mean, the Valley of the Planets, it's called, and it's in Libya. And I think somebody just started posting about this the other day, and they put a whole batch of videos, of pictures up of these things that are in the desert there, and nobody can explain them. So, of course, that's what I specialize in, is trying to explain the unexplained, and I have explained the unexplained, as you will see. Stick with me, and you're going to see, I will show you precisely what this is, and it should shatter every neuron in your cranium. Get ready. Okay, my friends, prepare yourself. This gives you a little size scale. So let's say these things are close to 4 feet across, something like that, 3 feet. Let's go with 3 feet. And look at the pattern now. Look at it very closely, because I'm going to show you other ones that are hard to deny what I am going to say. Now, remember the pattern you're seeing here. All right, now let's take a look at some other shots. And again, this is Valley of the Planets, and this I'm going to show you there's all kinds of different things there that they can't explain, and I can explain them all. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to hit you with the big shot right now. This is nothing but biology, and those, my friends, are blood cells. All right, so don't forget, this is the kind of cells that they were looking at here. Similar to these, and similar to this one. Now, this one we can see some chemistry. These are just washed out. This one here, we can see some chemistry. What's going on with all these different colors? Leaking from exact different spots. This, again, I believe this literally is a blood cell. And these literally are transition metals carrying things into the cell back and forth, and it was taken out while there still had some transition metals in it, and it's still oozing down, I think, and that's probably copper, and I don't know what they are, but there's different, the colors indicate different chemistry. And then when you see the different structures of the patterns running down here, I'm pretty sure what we're looking at here is a blood cell. Now, there's other ones that are not blood cells, like this one right here. Totally different, but it's round. Now, wait till you see what I have to show you. This is just freaky. You see that pattern? That's not an accident. You see that pattern right there? This little bridge coming across. It's got like a membrane surrounding it. It's got that ball in the center. And then look at this. This is a structure. This is not accidental. Watch right here as it comes around to here. There's a little crack there. Why is there a little crack there? And then what about this? Why is this thing here? Like, you see it coming up here? There's 2 little pieces. One goes here and one goes here. To me, it looks similar to that. But this is certainly a sequestered area. All right, now zooming in to look a little closer, we can see a lot of little layers on the outside of that. You see that? It's pretty interesting. And then you see a bunch of little things going on inside here. These little, you see that? And the colors are the colors of transition metals, blood, and so forth. This is an interesting little structure. What's that going on there? That circle. All right, and you see all these little pocky-looking things. And then again, we want to look close at this. Very, very patterned, very structured. And there's a little cavity-looking thing here. There's another one over here. and then there's like a membrane in between the two of them, ish. All right, but it's a good-sized ball, and I believe this is like 3-4 feet across. Well, what could that be if it was biological? Well, that particular one, I believe, is a mammalian cell. The other ones were blood cells. The first ones we looked at were like blood cells. They didn't have a whole, well, I think they were. Again, yeah, I'm sort of guessing at some of this stuff. I don't know. But these look to me like blood cells more than the other one. Now that, I don't know. That could be a blood cell. Hard to say. But, and again, these are the ones that they were showing first. And I think they're blood cells, because they do have that structure. Sometimes they dimple in, sometimes they dimple out. And I can't tell you why, but I can show you. Like this one's dimpled out, and these are dimpled in. The dimple in is primarily what you see in blood cells. However, this is not a blood cell. That is an entire mammalian cell. Let me show you what the mammalian cell looks like. And remember all this architecture. Okay, if you go and you look up what a human cell looks like, in the microscopic part of it, they all look different. They show them all different. All right? But I believe the one here that has this scoop around it. Remember we had that little break around the ball? Remember this? Hold on. Whoops. Well, this is the same thing. I think this is a better shot. But what we were looking at was that little scoop around the ball, which is nucleolus. I believe that's the nucleolus. There might be another smaller ball inside this, which would be the nucleolus. Let's take a look at the actual anatomy. All right, here's what you got. All right, this is the nuclear core. All right, the nuclear envelope that surrounds, and I believe that's what we're looking at in that thing. And then we're seeing these structures around the edges that had that, like, remember there was two little flanges coming in, something like that. I don't know. You really can't tell because I don't know. Now, but there's a center, obviously, and then there's a surrounding core. And this outside is a membrane, and the outside has a membrane. It is a membrane. Cell membrane. All membranes are bilipid, phospholipids. So there's two layers of that. You can't even tell. And then the ribosomes are in here, which are the things that keep you protected. They're the enzymes. And there can be millions of those inside. This is one single cell. One single cell. All this Golgi apparatus and the endoplasmic reticulum, which keeps all of those ribosomes. There's some certain parts where the rough endoplasmic reticulum is clustered with ribosomes. And what are ribosomes? They're the chemistry sets. And what do? They just lay there until they're needed, and something triggers them, and they pop off and do something to protect the nucleus or do something. I don't know. But ribosomes are the chemistry sets that do everything in your body. Every single thing that's done that involves chemistry has to be done by a ribosome, which is the enzyme which is created by bacteria. If you don't have the bacteria, you won't get the ribosome. You don't have the ribosome, you won't get the enzyme. You don't have the enzymes, the reaction cannot happen fast enough. The enzyme is a catalyst. It makes reactions happen millions of times faster than they would if it wasn't for that ribosome. And if you don't have the bacteria, you're not going to create the ribosome. So you have to have good bacteria in your body. That's your immune system, and it is in this fluid-filled highway where a lot of this stuff floats. All right, these are cells of your whole body, but all of the enzymes and the bacteria float in that one layer that protects like organs and protects membranes and muscle and everything. Is a membrane. Even like this has a membrane. I just showed you a cell membrane. That's what protects this from invasion. Your blood cells can get invaded. They have membranes too. Everything has a cell membrane. 100% of everything in your body has a cell membrane. And that is the source of invasion. If you don't keep your bacteria and your enzymes good in there, you can get invaded. That's what the problem is. That's why there's hundreds of different types of cancer. Every single one of them has a different chemistry. Every organ in your body has a different chemistry. So what do you need? You need a different membrane chemistry. And how does that happen? You need a different bacteria. And if your bacteria is dead, you don't get that particular chemistry for that particular organ, and it doesn't get protected. That's why there's hundreds of cancers. That's my opinion. Strictly research. I'm not saying take this, don't take this. We're looking at research now. We're trying to understand what invades and what protects. And I think it's and then, of course, we're relating this to the enormousness of the universe. This is nothing but, I mean, just think of the size of the creature. Had a blood cell like this, and here, I mean, you know, a human cell or whatever kind of cell. It looks like a human-ish cell. Who knows? I say that's it. Now, this whole area is flush with biology, not just this, not just the blood cells, everything else. It's all there, and I'm going to show it to you right now. You know, it just never ends. I'm getting ready to move on, and I look, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, boy, that's just amazing how perfect that is. And then I look up here, and I said, wow, look at that, look at this, and look at that. Then I start to look at the different textures of this versus this, that it sort of sequesters this stuff, whatever's in here, I don't know. I'm starting to think this is where the mitochondria is, which is the powerhouses that power the cell. Now, these little tubes here, I think, might be inside the mitochondria, and I don't know. Again, this could be any kind of a creature, so I'm just looking at what I see in what they call a human cell, animal cell. And here's the mitochondria, and you got, that's the only thing I can relate it to at this moment. But I mean, it's so obvious that we're in some form of a cell. In my mind, it's absolutely certain. And all of these membranes and everything around here, that's just a cell. And then because of all the other biology right in that area, and it's all the same size, it's just absolutely stunningly large. Okay, my friends, here's what I'm going to want you to start to think about. You see the scale on here? That is extreme biology. And that's where, this is lichen growing on here, even in the desert or wherever it is. It loves this kind of biology, this bloody stuff. Now, you see there's a center core here. It looks like the nucleolus to me. I don't know. And then, of course, you have the outside. Now, what you want to look for is an abrupt transition break. And this may be one here. And there may have been a cord coming off of here, a strap. Because if this was a tendon ball, which I don't know if it was or not, it could be a cell. I don't think it's a red blood cell, but it could be a mammalian cell. Or it could be a tendon enthesis. Now, let me show you what tendon enthesis look like. And what enthesis just means the end where the tendon invests and locks in, so that the strap would come down and lock to there and is ripped off. That's a good possibility. I can't discount that at all. But let me show you what they do look like, and I'll show you some that did rip off. Okay, my friends, this is what happens. They fracture right here. And all this wrinkly looking stuff was where it was locked in to the fleshy stuff of the body that it was in. And these snap right off at that spot. Now this is the moon Mimas. And I believe, as I say, everything, I believe there is nothing that isn't biology. I believe that was a tendon enthesis. And it broke right off here. And have you ever seen the other side of our moon? Let me show you something. Don't forget this here. And these are where these go in to service that ball. And here's our moon. And you see those two little spots? And you see the different, this is on the dark side. You don't see this. We always thought all these craters and everything were craters of impacts and so forth. It's not that way. You see these two, you see the two different colors? That's just the nature of these tendon entheses. Right here. You see them? Right off to the edge here. And that's mimus. They're basically identical to the moon, the same thing. There they are right there. And these different layers of fascia, you saw how many different layers there was around all of these organs and things. I mean, there's just layer after layer after layer. They don't think that. They on the scale we're looking at here, you would need like such a superb microscope. You just never get one that good. You could never get one good enough to see what we could see here. Vein and artery, servicing a tendon wall, where it was ripped off, and the cord, I don't know, went wherever the body went to. There was battles in the heavens. That's exactly what they said. And I just showed you what they look like, and here's how they grow. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are flat on the bottom and lock in with all these crystals. Which this, I believe, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Hold on one second. All right. I literally have, probably 100 or more pictures of different biology that is primarily these tendon enthesis or cells or blood cells or whatever they are. But they're these round structures. Now, I always thought they were always these tendon enthesis. For a long time I thought that. But now I see I was wrong. To me, there's no question that's a cell. And that's a gigantic cell, absolutely gigantic. And everything else I see is biology as well. Everything is biology. Let me start with that. And then from there, you have to decide what you see. And I know exactly what I'm seeing here. This white stuff is kaolin clays, and that's what's in skin. It's a skin clay. And these are the balls that are in your skin. They have little straps coming out. And that strap is broken off. Here's another one of those balls right in the same area there. Because you got a whole creature there, so it has to have all these things. All right, and then you got some chemistry going on. I don't know if this were the same spot, but you're going to have a different chemistry too, because this is a different creature, has different biology in different places in its body, whatever that is. And there's going to be all kinds of different chemistry, and you have to understand all of the biology, the chemistry, the anatomy, to the tiniest level, because what you're looking at is just gigantic, but it is something that we would have to see within the best microscopes that exist. You can't see this stuff. These blood cells, you can't see that. You couldn't see, whoops, that's the heart. Look at this. There's a heart here. This is that main structure of the heart. Look at that. You see this coming out? This is all heart tissue. That's how this thing works. Look at this. These are the heartstrings. Right, these are heartstrings. That's the strut cord, I believe. That big heavy duty one. And then it runs into this fibrous stuff up in here, the aortic leaflet. And the muscle is there's muscle on both sides. But as I just showed you here it is right here. Heart inside of a heart. That's what it is. That's a heart muscle. If you look up, I have all the pictures of it, but I got so much stuff. It'd take forever to go through all this stuff. Plus, we have the same stuff here in the United States. You see this? Look at this carefully. What do you see? Oh, that's Arches National Park. Yes. Well, what is this? Well, it's an arch. Yes. What's this right here? No clue. Well, I know what it is. it was another arch. It collapsed. And where did it go? It went down to this ball right here, I believe. There's another ball right here that it might have gone to. And what are these balls? You see these round balls? You see that round ball? Take your time and look. That was a round ball, and everything that held it in place has eroded away. The ball's still here. The strap is still there, but I would be careful if I was that guy. This was a strap right here, a round strap, and this is just eroded and turned flat. But normally they come out sort of round. That's the center core of the strap. And it would have anchored right to the top of here, or possibly to here, because there's another ball here, there's another ball here, another ball here, another ball over here. They were everywhere, because here's what they look like in the human body. I don't know if this is human or not, but it was a big creature that had these aponeurosis tendons. Okay, get ready. Arches National Park. That's one of those straps. Coming down to the ball, which was anchored like into whatever was anchored into. These are aponeurosis tendon. This flat tendon pulls against muscle, but not very much. Well, you know what? Let me open this up so you can see better. You see them all of them in a row? Boom, 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 boom. They're tagged in and they're solid into this mat. That's a really tough mat, and very, very stable. The straps run through these little holes. You see the little slit there, slit, and they run down and they anchor below. So you got something to pull on. If you don't anchor these straps, you're just pulling on nothing. You have to. And that's just injury. Almost all my photographs are from sports injuries or bodily injuries, something like that. Because that's when they go in and they take pictures of them. That has ripped out from where it's supposed to be anchored. Now the one at National Park there, that thing is still in here, but all the stuff that was around it has eroded. So you see the ball sort of sticking up and the strap is still attached. The other one is just broken off right there. And you can see the little hole. So let's go back and look at that. All right, here's the strap coming down. Normally, like I say, it would have been round, but of course it's eroded. The other one just eroded and broke apart and fell off. This, it is round, and that's the little central core, and it would come down. I don't know whether it would have been to here or down to here, whatever. But the stuff that was the fleshy part that was holding it in, it was probably flesh, because it looks like it's running off like mud, because that's flesh. So this anchored into some fleshy area, and that just eroded away and left the ball and this strap, in this particular case. In most cases, the straps broke off, because they're the weak part. The ball's the tough part. You see, and the balls, they last a very, very long time. You see that? That's a ball. It's a ball. And so is this. And the part that was around it is eroding away. The ball's still here. If you could follow the ball around, you could still go around to the ball. All right, but all of the fleshy stuff is eroding away. Oops, and it is eroding into the ball itself, I can see. Because this is, to me, this is the outside of the ball. But again, they're dense with a fleshy coating that creatures live off of. That's why they're covered with moss. If they're the red blood, and they have the red blood on them, boy, they can grow moss like crazy. In the desert, it's all gone now. It's done. No more biology going on in there that something could live off of, probably. That's my estimation at this point. But now, here's something you want to see here. Remember, this is the ball, that's the strap. They move along that, but guess what this strap is? It's the same stuff they made the walls in Peru and Bolivia and all those places, and all they did was break off the straps. That's where the bumps are from. That's where the bumps are from. Oh, bumps. I've been saying this for 10 years. That's where the bumps are from, is where the straps were. And then they had machines. They had big, huge machines here, and they went up and cut these slabs of tendon from these gigantic creatures and made walls. Just a fact. You know, I'm sorry to keep jumping from here to there, but it's just, you have to jump. So I have shown you the tendon ball and the strap. This is a ponerosis tendon, totally different than the rope tendon. Let me show you the rope tendon and how they fossilize. Okay, if you want to do a little geeky work, look up a ponerosis tendon versus rope style tendon. This is the ponerosis. It has those little straps. They break them off, and then they cut these blocks, and then they put them up here when they were still wet, and they just fit right into place like putty. And they just snap the blocks off. It's just what it is. Now, the rope style is totally different, and you've always seen the hex looking stuff. This is what a tendon looks like in the rope style. And by the time it gets down to here, there is literally tens and maybe hundreds of thousands of fibers. Because it starts out big, and then one block like this, and a tiny, tiny little piece of that block turns into this, which has a bunch of these, a lot of them, and these turn into a bunch of these, a lot of them, which turn into a bunch of these, which turn into a bunch of these, which turn into a bunch of these, and then they finally end up at the enthesis where they lock in. That's the structure of a tendon. There is so many fibers in there, you could not possibly get your head around it. So let me put your head around it, because here's what happens at the that's how many fibers there are in these tendons. That's a snapped tendon, a wrinkle zone in a tendon after it got snapped. But if it wasn't snapped, all of those fibers would be coming down basically straight alongside each other. That's what's called a wrinkle zone. Now, are they big on the earth? Yes, they are. Right here. Now look at this carefully. You see this? That's one of these. It's actually this one here, I believe, because they start out with this. And they actually look this style. They have a little curve to them this way, and then they turn into a square, and then they turn into the hexes, which is here, and then from the hexes they turn into these, which are not exactly hexes, but they're somewhere in that area, and then they turn into the fibrils. So we're right down around in this area here, the hex pattern here. And then from there, it just keeps going down and locks in. So whatever this was locked into, I don't know. But this was a tendon. It is a tendon. And they break flat like that. You say, well, why would it break flat like that? Well, I'm glad you asked. And here is the reason. You see this? I'm going to home in on this because that's the biggest I can get it. Now, look at this carefully. Remember I showed you there was bazillion trillions of little fibrils? This is just a little piece of them, look, few of them, out of this huge, huge collagen fibril cord. Now you see the different colors? Why are they different colors? The reason they're different colors is they actually have a different chemistry to some of these fibers in here, which give them different tensile strengths. To me, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here, but because of the colors. Now, this is what they look like down here. Can you see? There's blocks. That's why they break into blocks. They're blocky. See it? These are things nobody knows about. These things. Nobody pays any attention to the details. You got to go for the details. Like I keep saying over and over, if you don't know all the details, you're going to have to get a whole bunch of people together in the same room that can actually have their heads open and wide enough to see this stuff. Because you need an anatomist to understand what they're looking at. You need a geologist to say, oh, no. You need a biologist to say, well, you know, this is basically the same chemistry. You need, like I say, an autopsy guy to say, well, yeah, that's what I see in autopsies. There's nothing here that's hidden. There's nothing that can't be, it's just obvious. It's just so obvious, it's obvious. But it's so big that it's outside of the capability for somebody's mind to accept it. And they have just gone to Bennu, picked up a sample from Bennu, which is a heart, and it's back here on Earth, and it has sarcomeres in it, and it has the phosphate layers, which are the membranes over the top of the sarcomeres. No question whatsoever it's a heart. and a heart in space. There's nothing but biology. And when you see things like this that are a cell, a biological cell from a creature at one time, solid stone now. And that's because of nucleophilic transition and invasion. So wherever this was, there was a lot of red, muddy, fleshy blood around here. I can tell that because of it turned into like mudstone, basically like similar to what my stuff, some of it did. I have just a variety here. It's stunning. I can't account for it, but it's here. Now that's a bone, and it's turned into basically mudstone. But inside, you still have marrow, and there's actually one little piece of bone still in this particular one. And this is the bone head, and that would have been, this is a long bone, and it would have had something attached right to here. And that attaches into a ball like this. And let me show you what a ball like that looks like. You see all the little holes in there? That's what's called a ligament. And that holds a bone to another bone. They can twist, and they can move around and flop around a little bit, but they can't come apart. Now watch this. Where do you see this? You see that? Who's going to explain that? Nobody except me. That would be right in here. Oof. And there'd be another bone down at the bottom here, and they'd be able to rock around. And that's the stalk in between them. And these things are tough. Some of these biological things are just as tough can be. And that's the only explanation I have for it. Maybe you got one, but that's mine. Now, I'm going to do another video on this, a very long, detailed video. Well, most of my videos are getting kind of long and detailed, but we need to really look at this because they had machines here. They didn't do that with some stone chisels and stuff and do this. They had machines here, and here's the proof of that. Explain to me how that happened. And that is during the time when this stuff was wet, and they cut slabs out of it using these gigantic machines. That's all I can tell you. Now, this is in Bolivia somewhere, down in it's down in Bolivia. I'm going to go through some more of this stuff later. But they had machines here, and they cut right like this. They cut slabs right off of here. That's a tendon. That's an Achilles tendon. And then they brought them back down here and made walls out of them. They didn't cut that with like little chisels or anything. I mean, people got to wake up and see what they see and start thinking about what was here on Earth that did this. Look at this stuff. These are those broken off little tabs from the aponeurosis tendon. And this is like lichen, some kind of mossy lichen that grows on the particular type of biology that was there. You know, they left the scale on there, and things grow on it. And the same thing, look at how beautiful that is. But somebody came down here and just plopped them here and says, okay, push that one over there. Oh, give me another one, slam it over here, push that one over there, do that. And they've been looking at these little bumps, you know, and I've been talking about them for years and years, and I'm telling you, this is just stunning stuff. It's stunning. And that, my friend, right there, that's a blood cell. That's almost absolutely certain that's a blood cell. And I don't know where these things come from. I get a lot of people send me things, and I cannot validate some of them. Well, I can't validate hardly any of them, but I can tell you what, these things, I have no question whatsoever in my mind they're real. And this is tendon right here. That's tendon. That's the main part of the tendon is right here. And it's a first abrupt transition, second abrupt transition, and then it heads off into the muscle fibers, which break off. And you can see if you look, and you know what to look for. You see these little patterns of outlines in between the blocks? You see them? Those are what's called slurpees, small leucine-rich proteins. All these little white spots are tendonish, mineralization. Okay, my friends, I'm just going to leave it at this for today, but I'm just going to keep showing this until somebody pays attention. They just came back from this asteroid Bennu with a sample, and I showed over and over and over its heart sarcomeres. with phosphate layers, which are membranes. I cannot get anybody to discuss it. We spent 1.16 billion with a B dollars already on that, and then I want to study it for a couple of years. It is heart sarcomeres. I show material physical evidence. If somebody can support their statements that they need to take years to investigate it, I want to know why. Don't they have any anatomists there? Don't have any chemists? Don't have any biologists? Autopsy people? Anybody that's cited? All right, here's your money in action. Arizona State, or University of Arizona, was tasked to look into Bennu. Here's Bennu. It's an asteroid in space. Here's what a heart looks like. Same valve, same tendon, all that. And here's Psyche, same thing. It's another heart. They're just nothing but biology in space. They break off here. Now, when they went out and sampled this, what did they come back with? Well, here's what they came back with, right here. And they said, wow, there's phosphates. There's 2 layers of phosphates sandwiching that heart sarcomere. They didn't say heart sarcomere. They just said, wow, look at this thing, which nobody can say what it is, which except me. And there's 2 layers of phosphates, which they call a phosphate surprise. Well, guess what that is? That's heart sarcomere. And guess what phosphates are? They're membranes. And here's what a heart looks like right here. That's a heart attack victim. These were the blocks. These are the membranes, the phosphate surprise. And here's what the heart sarcomeres look like. Now just take a time and look at it. That layer right there and this layer right here are the phosphates, the little white area. Now, what happened here? Well, it sort of eroded. So you're seeing little layers in here because that's how they do it. They slide in and out together. And what do we see? We see exactly that. See the little layers in between each other? They slide in and out together. They're not just blocky like that for no reason at all. And it's got a membrane on top and a membrane on the bottom. What the hell do you need? You need a couple of years to try to figure this out? It's been here already a year on Earth. And I can't get anybody to talk to me from the University of Arizona or anywhere. And nobody. Zero. And I can't, all of this stuff for 15 years I've been showing. It's just too much for anybody to handle. It changes everything they've told us about everything they told us. Not only that, I got a list of things that change. From the research I did, this is what mud fossils change. Basic discoveries change many things. Geology. We got giants in biology. It changes literally everything. It changes chemistry, changes biology, history, mythology, basically even religion, anthropology, archaeology, human development, like even the no-toes and all those crazy stuff I have. Giants were real, dragons are real, myths appear to be true. And the physics stuff I did, which shows that the dark matter is half of the light. Light is going all the time. Half of it's made of dark matter. They're polar molecules. Now this is when I had the proton at 1823 and a neutron 1824, which could be right. 1839 I'm at now. I go with the wind, you know. I don't know why I went to 1823, I gotta be honest with you. Because 1836 or 1839, somewhere up and around there, is what Millikan put the proton at. I mean the electron. The number of electrons in one proton. Anyway, the periodic table's got to change. Enzymes, the complexity, the click chemistry, they got to start understanding that, how enzymes work with the half-lives and isotopes to create new chemistry with its nucleosynthesis. It changes all that. Everything's a product of bacteria. Bacteria are the chemists of all life. And it goes on and on and on and on. So I just want to tell you, everything changes. The research I have done with the mud fossils started as just a sort of a curiosity, and then it's just unfolded into this. And if you can't see what's in front of your eyes, and I haven't displayed this enough for you, well then, good luck. All right, I love you all. The next one's going to be, I'm just going to keep going, because every day now they're showing, oh, well, we just finally figured this out. Oh, no, we found this. Well, explain what I need to do. Here, let me just explain one thing before I sign off here. I need to get on a show where I can address people's concerns. I want them to say, no, Roger, this isn't right, and this isn't right, this can't be right, you can't be right. And they will. They'll get on and say, well, how could they breathe? How could they eat? Where did they live? Where's their houses? Did they have any toys? I don't know what they're going to ask me. But they will ask all of those crazy, insane things, which I can't account for. A lot of things I cannot account for. But all of the things, there's going to be all kind of conspiracy people that'll be talking about this and that. You know, a lot of it will be nonsense. But I am a material scientist. This is all material. I'm not showing you saying, oh, there must have been this and this pointed towards this star in the southwest sky at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. You know, no. That's all just speculation. Even like Stonehenge, that's just the bodies of the body parts of a giant creature. And the heel stone is a foot. I'm not kidding you. All of this stuff is just overlooked or ignored, actually denied. At this point, it's a denial, and the teachers are false teachers now. They're not teaching reality and truth. That's not a good teacher. That's a false teacher. And ancient texts talk about that too, and that didn't work out good for them. This is the heel stone. Stonehenge is like 450 feet up the road. It's called the heel stone. And then there was a twin stone, which was a twin, another heel, another foot. If you can't understand what you see, I don't know what to say. That black part there, I'm pretty sure that is the vein where the black blood comes down. There's two main, well, there's a whole series of main blood supplies here, but there's two really heavy-duty spots right here that have just blown out. Now, what do you see here? You see that little tiny dot and that little tiny dot? And these little tiny holes at the end of these two tiny dots? Let me see if I can show that a little bit better. You see them right here? These have their own, these are toes. They're toes. And at the end of each toe, there's the vein and the artery are there. And this is exactly what you got. Exactly what you got at every end of the toe. They're the terminals of your blood. The arteries come down and the veins come back. And that's a foot, and that's a Stonehenge. And now, why can't anybody speak about this? Every time I talk about things like this, I get blocked. So I'm blocked from virtually everywhere. Because every time I speak about any of my stuff, I want to just discuss it. All I want is discussion. But it ends up, I just get blocked. So I can't discuss anything with anybody. And I've been blocked so much now that I'm really, really extremely suppressed. And I will never get out of this suppression. I can't imagine how. But I get down into the chemistry, into the biology, the anatomy, the fibers. Look at this stuff. These are the fibers. These here, there's muscle sarcomeres and wrinkled tendons and slurpees and adipose fats and all kind of different tissues have different structures. And I can see all these. I find all of them. These are the rope-like tendons. So I don't know what else I can show you that could convince you, or you have to be able to deal with this in your own mind, because if you can't see what's right in front of your face, you're just in a state of denial, because it's just too spectacular and too crazy. And when you start looking at moons and you see these sticking in and breaking off here, and like Mimas, and then our own moon on the dark side is right here. As I showed you, you got one here, you one here, and that's it. As far as I can determine, we are in just a gigantic universe of biology. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. I love you all. If I can get on Joe Rogan or some show where we can get this on open and start discussing this openly instead of calling everybody names like me, an idiot, liar, fool, pareidolia, all this nonsense. They come after me. And I mean, I was really attacked. And I still am, basically, all the time. But it's by people that refuse to engage or even look. They don't even look at what I show. So, and they did the same thing to Velikovsky. Velikovsky wrote a book, and it was on the #1 on the bestseller list for 11 weeks in a row on New York Times bestseller list, and they forced the academics to take it off the bestseller, take it down, take it off the bookshelves, no more publishing, take it off. And then they attacked Velikovsky and said, yeah, he had to take a book down because it was all crazy. And they went to these people that forced Macmillan to take it down. They said, did you read the book? They said, no, why would I read trash like that? And everything Velikovsky said basically supports virtually everything that I have found. And in the ancient myths, now, I don't know if he went quite as far as I've gone, but nobody's ever seen this before. Nobody knew this stuff was here. Nobody knew that these giant things were, these giant, you know, cells that were this big. I mean, come on. This is a whole new world, my friends. All right, I love you all. Stick around. I'm going to be doing this a lot. I'm just going to keep doing it. And at this point, it becomes, you know, I'm looking into the ancient texts and trying to figure out what they had to say, because they were closest to the source. We have so far removed ourselves from any of that stuff because it was just insane. And it is insane. I don't disagree with that at all. It's insane. Totally insane. But sometimes insane things have extreme meanings, and they are true. And in this case, both of those things apply. All right, I love you all.